Good morning. I can't take much more of this. Kidding. It's flatlining, right, Joe? I don't. I don't know. I've been doing this a long time. I don't know. Maybe there was a time like this before. I mean, I'm not sure. There's such massive indecision. I heard a guy on commentator on CNBC yesterday. Was I know everybody's feeling the same things, thinking the same things, because the charts display that. And he said something like, we got past some other news last week. And he's like, at some point we just gotta do what we think we should do, positions or whatever. It's like enough of this not going nowhere. So it was interesting to hear, you know, this guy, hedge fund manager, whatever he was, communicating, exactly what we all are experiencing and, what the charts are saying. But we'll see. We'll see. So it's interesting, there was a lot of things, of course, the markets that went nowhere yesterday again, but there was good buying in semiconductors and a few other, uh, you know, beaten down things and so on. So there was some decent buying, not crazy, but it was good to see something. But what I noticed was that we've got, let me get this. This is the sentiment put call ratio that we mainly look at, the total put call ratio, and you can see it's starting to edge up. Breath is still doing nothing. It's down here under zero. But you can kind of see like this head and shoulders bottom versus this head and shoulders top that's over here. So no matter where we look, it's, kind of like, okay, one message versus another message, kind of in opposition of each other. But so breadth improved a little bit, and just saw that in the charts yesterday. But this is the equity put call ratio, and that's moving into an extreme level. Now, breadth is still here, so there's no sell alert or high risk alert here, but it's interesting that the sentiment is beginning to improve. And now we just need something to kick the markets in the butt to see if they're right, and the S&Ps can break out of this range. I don't know. But some change in the internals, I was glad to see that versus, this flat line that's been going on forever. You can see it, this equity one didn't quite get into the upper bands over here. Things pulled back a little bit, and they didn't get down to the bullish bands, and now they're up here. So taking note of it, passing on the information, we'll see how things progress. That's what we always do. But some change. S&Ps, as you know, flatlining there, and bonds doing nothing. Interest rates are up here a little bit. They were pushing up there a little, but no breakout as of yet. Still within the trading range, so no information of an event yet. And markets kind of flipped down on that retail sales report. Nothing of significance. We can see it's within the trading range, down below yesterday's open. Things just another inside day yesterday in SPY and SPX. Meanwhile, they're close. This thing doesn't get out of this range. So been working SPX, but things as tight as they are, the day whatever gets this thing to trigger one way or the other, you're doing these, you better get the hell out of the way pretty darn quick. Because they're within striking distance, and you can see here. So Jake's got a 80, 40, 85. I've got 40, 80. Things have moved a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, 40, 80. 70 by 75 now. It just changed a little bit. 85 is 90 by a buck, so these things move really fast. So 80, 85, and you can see it's not very far to get to one side or the other if these things start to move. So kind of a nervous trade, if you will. But that's what it is. McGraw's telling me expect wiggles on Fed heads, all singing from the same song sheet. Yeah. So I think the consensus is that they're going to do nothing for a while, maybe wait, that's a moving thing too. But is that good? Is it bad? Or is there a certainty as to, oh, they're really, they're going to stop? I mean, I heard them on CNBC saying some data suggests that they're going to ease sometime later in the year. I think that's BS. Something bad would have to happen for them to ever consider easing, and they were talking sometime in the middle of the summer or September. I mean, inflation's at 5%. If the target's 2%, they ain't getting there in a couple of months. Unless something really bad would have to happen. What? I don't know. We don't know. But, so far, markets are waiting for something. But all right. As we do, other markets, this is just grinding. And, the semiconductors had a good day yesterday, relatively speaking. Real nice day. Cleared those pivot highs, wide range bar. Yeah, I know it's got some stuff to get through here, and it's a little extended. So today probably comes in a little bit, 1, 2, 3, some kind of profit taking congestion. Today's the 16th. Applied materials reports on the 18th. I'm not sure if it's in the morning or after the close, but you can check that out. And, there's some stuff here to deal with, but this is a good start. It's a good start, LRCX, that moved up nicely. AMAT moved up nicely. I think KLAC, even junky Intel, had a decent day. So, and we've got this weekly little buy set up here. So that's an encouraging sign. Yeah. Carlos on YouTube saying, sorry not to speak English. I would say, Carlos, sorry, I don't speak Spanish. It would be a great advantage if I did living here in Miami. But, I don't. So Russell, I had a okay day. You see this big topping pattern. Inside day, doing nothing, absolutely nothing. The Dow, I guess, is going to have a little pressure on it. Home Depot, last I looked, it was in the Dow. Home Depot is moving lower. I don't know what the news was, but it reported its earnings, so I guess they weren't so good. And I saw I think it was the Wall Street Journal posted something about the 1-month interest rates are ripping higher, the uncertainty of the debt ceiling. People buying, I guess, was it? Let me just see here. 1-month Treasury bill yield. Yeah, it's going up. It's like 5.5%. or something for 1 month treasury. So 1 month, 519. There you go. So yeah. And I mentioned yesterday, the 10-year here, it's knocking on the door. To get through the top of that. It's going to be interesting if it does, because I mean, you got to take note of it. The bond market's going to take note of it. And does this correlation, you can see here back in 2022, as that was rising, a lot of things have changed over the last few months. So these intermarket relationships sometimes come in and out of sync with each other, but you don't know until you know. But as this was going up back there in 2022, and the dollar was going up in unison back then, they were both trending higher, and drag this back. Equities were going lower. And so I'm keeping an eye on that. The dollar had a good week last week. It's cleared these pivots. The 10-year's knocking on the door of clearing its pivots. So that correlation is something that we have to keep an eye on. And along with this sentiment increasing, what could happen? Well, what could happen is we have a market that does push up through these highs, and I gotta scroll that up, does push up through these highs and maybe push up, have a decent move up toward this next pivot, and those internals come into alignment with each other, and it turns out to be, and coming into the summer, all that, it just turns out to be a bear trap. I don't know. And just, you just have to be skeptical and just read the tea leaves here. But so far, this continues to be somewhat bullish price action that can't get out of its own way. The sentiment is increasing, which says, hey, option traders are gravitating toward the belief that it makes sense to be buying more call options to take advantage of what? Market's prices going up. So while we use them as a contrarian indicator, a piece of information, it doesn't mean they're wrong until the gauge says they're all in, right? Meaning they're all in and the move is already underway toward some resistance area. And, they're betting that it's going to the moon. On the downside, they're betting that it's going to crash. So we don't have that yet. We're still waiting for something to wake this market up out of its slumber. What else? Bitcoin down here a little bit. Looks like it could roll over. And if it does, it comes into this minor support where buyers should want to show up. But on the short term, it tends to be a negative for the broader markets. Crude oil just bouncing around after this retest down here. I saw a chart somebody posted on Twitter over the weekend that showed over the course of like 20 or 30 years, net short position being extremely high in gasoline. And they showed, it was like looking at these correlations, like what I'm explaining here, relative, to sentiment in the markets and all that, that every time it's resulted in a major up move in crude oil. So those type of information, you take it kind of like they say with a grain of salt as to, okay, maybe that holds true again. That's what we do. We look at, information from the past and say, hey, are things setting up like that? How does it look, and does it begin to actually happen? So with that in mind, if crude oil was to begin a move higher and the 10-year breaks out above these highs, and we've already seen the dollar break out above those highs, I think that's going to ignite inflation fears, thoughts. And I saw a little blurb go past before that Canada just reported an increase in inflation. So, this market, as much as it doesn't want to move, it doesn't want to go down. There's still a lot of this uncertainty, and there's things that are moving around out there that, yesterday's theme was something's got to give. And of course, something is going to give. It may give and then rip in one direction and then the other. So just don't be complacent and have your stops in, and do what we always do. Don't get too caught up in your own thoughts. Use the charts. So the dollar's being strong, silver came in a lot, gold's holding up, and we'll see what today brings. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. So today, McCarthy's going to meet Biden again. We'll see if any whatever comes out of that. I just glanced at my Dow 30 and I noticed, well, Honeywell's up 59 cents, but Amgen here was the only pretty much green Dow 30 stock, and this is a beautiful bottoming pattern. Making the turn here on major support, retest on the weekly, gapping up. So that's a tier 1 gapper right there. I have it in the middle chart. Now BRCC, I had an alarm just go off at 550. This was another bottoming pattern, wide range bar from yesterday. I'll put that in a window. BRCC, we got Home Depot, bottom right, bottoming pattern, gapping down here to the low end. Now this, we always go over earnings trades in the green room around 3 o'clock. And this was exactly a kind of a concern of mine. I said, if this gaps down to 280, then it can be an igniting gap lower. But we were talking about selling the 265s anyway for $1. And it's still $15 out of the money. So if anybody did that, I'm guessing with 90% certainty you're going to have a nice open profit at the open. But that's a Wall Street love stock. So let's see what that does at the open. SE gapping down, bearish. It's a Bear Island reversal actually within a broader trading range. This actually was one that I had on my four long list. This monthly bottoming pattern of 1, 2, 3. So at least the gap down is making it where obviously don't have a rush to get in. SSYS gapping over here. So this could be a 30-minute high. The only problem is you got a lot of junk to the left, so it's not a clean void, but put spread idea and bottoming pattern here. 70-cent stock though, opening fairly flat, but 30-minute high target 80-85 would be a percentile of huge gain. Hutu, Chinese stocks, there's always risk with Chinese stocks, just like with biotechs. So I think I read they had to remove their app somewhere, so they're getting whacked. That's an ugly shock. I think Baidu had earnings. Yeah, here's Baidu had earnings. No, that was a bullish turn. We were talking about doing a put spread yesterday, but for earnings. And it's actually only gapping down marginal. So if it can recover and take out yesterday's high, it's another put spread idea. We just looked at ONON, very volatile pre-market here, 31 and change, no pattern. Tiger was another one of those app Chinese things getting hit. Kara gapping up to 445. This could be the start of a big old bottoming pattern. KOD bottoming pattern. There's our Baidu, HZNP. So maybe, I think this was the Amgen stock that was going to buy this. And I don't know if it's officially called off or whatever, but that's what's causing this, having a nasty gap down. Their Sutor is not as confident that they're going to buy him. Yeah, rumors. Dish gapping to $7, still in a nasty downtrend. I was gonna say it could possibly be the start, but I got plenty of better things to watch. APLD gapping to 490. Has room. Well, actually, I take that back. That kind of would have been my target, $5. So that gap's too big. Guild, we have a bull call debit spread. Gapping up here, got an upgrade, so I'll watch that to tighten the stock. Retail had numbers pre-market. BSY is on our watch list from yesterday. That looks good. So these are just miscellaneous watch items now. Cream, bullish daily, weekly, monthly. We just got a time and entry with the market. Tyson was a day trade yesterday. I had a little nice 30-minute high there with a 1, 2, 3 daily. The Cisco, I gave last week and we never got filled, but bottoming pattern. ACMR, I have an alarm at yesterday's low. Is it short idea? DBA would have been a good put spread, but no juice. PLD broke out, buy setup. I got an alarm at 126. PTC, I got an alarm 131 and a quarter. Breakout candidate. Well, closing breakout. That looks great. I'll put that in the window. Well, Alex was watching GNRC yesterday. That was a closing breakout. Next target, 123. This has room. So ideally, we'll get a 1, 2, 3, which means inside bar today that stays in the upper third, and then tomorrow we buy over the week's high. GNK, sell setup is a short, yesterday's low. Halliburton, we were looking at a number of oils yesterday, trying to find the best ones. And I got an alarm. Goldman here also. Banks did, they rebounded a tad yesterday. But I have an alarm down here. If it fails, it looks like it's going to the gap fill. Morgan was on the list too. Schwab bottoming pattern, but still a dog. Hey, Cesar. XMTR. Oh, I posted this already. Over yesterday's high as a buy setup. LNC, insurance company. Under Friday's low, then it'd be a green bar ignored. NOW, wide range breakout, yesterday's high, puts right idea for Friday. JO, that's something that Alex mentioned. Retest, buy setup on the weekly, but very light volume, of course. But daily, weekly are in alignment. CHRW, making a turn right where it should. Minor support, breakout. All right, Guild up alarm again, just spiked. That's a nice gapper. Is a new trade. It's gapping over Friday's red bar with a void. That's a nice gap trade. We're already in it, but as a new trade, it might set up. Set a new alarm. Soxel is semis. Greg showed you the SMHs earlier. Daku bottoming pattern. This would have been a no-brainer put spread, but there was no juice with the VIX so low. It's hard to find good premium. That's a beautiful bottoming pattern for a put spread. Adobe, that's going to be also, but no juice. There's our brick. There's GNRC. ELS, I have an alarm at 68.80. It's a little buy setup after a breakout. VZ, it's weak, yeah. It's capping under yesterday's end of day base, relative weakness. So yeah, that's a short watch. Bottoming pattern here. I think we looked at. Yeah, I looked at these already. ON capping down. So it is 9:29. I'm actually done right now. In the FANG department, I see Meta and Netflix selling off here pre-market. Netflix, maybe day trade short. That's another bearish end of day base. It would only be a day trade because you don't have a big void. Charlie India up alarm. Well, up alarm. This Amgen's giving up the gap, so that's not confirming the strength that I thought. A TDG alarm. We're in this from yesterday. So now I'll raise the alarm. TDG. Oh, and it's an expensive stock, but I'll set it to 818. We're at 814. I see our Dollar Tree. I'm gapping down. And Q is just getting the biggest pop at the open of the four horsemen. And let's sell a third of TDG because we have a $10 plus gain. And then move stop break even. Shoot, Garmin low alarm. We did a third yesterday. Wow, look at Amgen. Totally gave up that morning strength. Look at that. It was at 235.50. So I just, I mean, if it recovers from that, then fine. But I doubt it will. All right, so Garmin, we only did a third lot and we did a monster stop, so it's okay. Yeah, XLK alarm went on. XLK looks fantastic, Thomas. The Qs are we're already in it in our ETF trader, but as a new trade, it looks fantastic.